Hi everyone. I've had a really special opportunity to go to the Montreal Biodome Living Nature exhibit. In this video, I want to share the photos that I took, and I hope you'll enjoy some of them. I want to share with you what I found really inspiring and some of the few funny things that happened while I was there. This is located by the Olympic Stadium in Montreal. If you're in Canada, you'll probably know about the roof of the Montreal Olympic Stadium and how it's just been a problem child for years. It's about to undergo a major renovation. That's kind of besides the point, but this is all in that general area. The photo is of the two parrots, but even though they look like they're kissing right now, not more than 45 seconds later, they were having a spat and making that screeching type squawking noise that only parrots can make. I was surprised how it literally went from sort of 0 to 100 just so quickly. It was fascinating watching them though. They're well, it's much different than watching it on TV, being there in person. And that the environment that this is in is rainforest like with the heat and the humidity. It's fascinating, and and seeing their natural habitat. This is of the plants. If you've seen other of my videos, you'll know just how much I like going down to the water and how peaceful I find it. I don't know the plant name. I just liked it a lot. This I found absolutely fascinating. When you look at it closely, that the Biodome has spent a minor fortune, or they would have had to have, because that tree looks like it is formed concrete with vines growing in and around it. It didn't look to be real to me. This is another one of these canopy shots. I've seen different videos from Brazil. Specifically at this moment, I'm thinking of an air crash that happened and the way Brazil's air traffic control works. But seeing all these photos reminded me of the canopy, or all these plants together, reminded me of the canopy that exists in rainforests. This is a second view of it. I really enjoyed being in there with all these plants. This is another, this is looking down obviously. What I will say that the Biodome has got going for it are a team that are just dedicated to the attention to detail that's needed to both keep the plants going and to create the different environments. You could tell that they had something special going on there by all the the foliage and the different plants they had grouped together. It matched my existing knowledge of the different areas of the world that the Biodome is themed around. I also love these little things where plants will pop up in the most interesting of positions that you just wouldn't expect a plant to be. Several years ago I saw a plant that really didn't have a traditional root system, but it got its water from the humidity in the air, and it didn't need a traditional sense of ask. And this is what this reminded me of. And when you get that level of attention to detail, the realism of it comes together, even though you're not actually in the tropics at this moment. This is another one of the foliage shots. It reminded me actually of going into my local Home Depot, and they always have plants from other areas of the world, or where they would be from. So for example, in my home I've got that banana plant upstairs that I can enjoy viewing from the tub. This is the type of thing that it reminded me of and about. Yeah, you have to see this. This is a capybara. I've seen about these in documentaries. Several years ago, my friend from Brazil named Mateus, he told me about these, and it got me really interested. The video I saw was of it raising its children, but it reminded me, it's just having a nice relaxing day in the sand at this exhibit. And they got room where they can get up and walk around, but it's just sitting there and living its life. It was really great. And part of why I took this specific photo is of the water feature that is in there. This place has to cost a minor fortune to run each year. The water purification, and then the heating, cooling, all the wildlife, and then the staff that takes care of all this and the vegetation. They've done a really good job. This is the kind of thing that if I was in high school environmental science class again, I took in grade 10 and grade 11, that we'd go to on a field trip. I really enjoyed the environmental science course. One of the assignments actually was taking a 2-liter plastic pop bottle, and you had to figure out the right balance between air, plant, and fish. And if your pet fish lived for a given number of days while the plant was still alive, you got top marks. And then if the fish perished before that, your marks degraded. But it was about learning about ecology, and that's what this reminded me of. We got higher up, and it gave a different perspective. I do want to say, for those that are in a wheelchair, you can't get to 100% of everything. However, with what's available, and if you look at what they've done in the effort that goes into running this facility, I really can't fault them. This is one of the spots where I could get high up and enjoy the habitat. I've got my drone pilot certificate. This is one of the shots that I'd be seeing on the camera of my drone if I was flying in there. So we're in a different area. In fact, if you get looking at these trees, they remind me of Grandma Piggott, my grandma. When I was approximately 8 years old, I saw in Grandma's backyard that an evergreen tree had grown on its own. I asked Grandma if I could have it, and she said yes, and they transplanted it. And when I bought this house, I moved the tree here, and it's in memory of my grandma. It's the same as some of these species of trees in this particular photo. I miss Grandma a lot. These are the penguins. Why I'm giggling is they're goons. Just goons. They're fascinating to watch. If you have a chance, go find yourself a penguin documentary. The last one I watched, they had set up a penguin cam in the shape of a penguin that could get in and amongst the penguins. It's amazing how. Well, it reminds me of Three Stooges. Periodically the penguins will just smack another penguin. It's not done in a harmful way, but it's one way to set boundaries, I'll tell you. Yeah. So you see that giant piece of driftwood? It reminded me of something. Up in the St. Lawrence Seaway in Canada, years ago, instead of having the wood on a boat, the wood would be pushed along in the water, and periodically a log would be lost, but the majority would make it off to the sawmill and made into furniture. The water's really cold in the St. Lawrence Seaway, and it's a low oxygen environment. So there's these literally 100-year-old logs that are at the bottom, but they're not decomposing because there's no oxygen for them to decompose. And it's fascinating. These old logs are being turned into new furniture. A lot of the time, though, it's being done as a veneer, as a skin, just because the sheer cost to raise the logs and then to process them. But there's some really gorgeous, the slow growing woods, the hardwoods that this reminded me of. This is another one of the exhibits. It's not in this particular picture, but I saw where the biodome identified where birds were nesting, and they had crudely set up a 2x4 and a webcam or a camera at least, that was looking down so they could capture the footage of it. They've done a really good job at making it feel like you're there. So this is the type of photo that I'd take here, down at the water. It felt like home. There's nothing fancy about it, just it felt like home, as in where I am right now. Where we're in is the beaver exhibit, and the beavers have made that dam. It's absolutely fascinating. There's a lot more of it that's not in this picture. I mean, it's one of those things where you really have to be there to see it and appreciate it. But if you look at the size of the limbs, you can just realize how large it is in real life. It's much, much larger than your flat screen TV or the electronic device that you're looking at this video on right now. This is another one of the St. Lawrence areas. And again, I've spent so much time down at the water, it reminds me as if I was there with my power wheelchair. It's just being in nature. When my legs get to me, going down there for 45 minutes is what it takes for not to be concerned about them and to be objective and thoughtful about what I'm dealing with and how I should proceed. I want you to see this particular photo. I see I've caught someone's head in it. I want you to appreciate the different species of trees that are in this world. I also, if you're oblige me, take a look at the roof. It's these massive windows. I can only imagine the effort that went into the engineering to make the building fit for purpose and and to stand up to its intended usage. So I've zoomed right in this. I have a story for you. When I was in college, I had a set of shelves and I had 8 fish tanks on the shelves. And I would go to bed each night watching my fish, and eventually I just close my eyes and be up the next morning. This reminded me of the gravel at the bottom of the fish tanks. And it is the last photo that I have to share. I took a high number of videos while I was there. I've got lots more to share about this trip. But for right now, that's what I wanted to share with you. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have the opportunity, get yourself to Montreal and go to the Biodome exhibit. It's gorgeous. It's really well done. Okay, have a wonderful day, everyone. Thanks for watching today. Bye for now.